Hey guys, long time no talk. How is everybody doing? It is Hawk back with Football Talk with Hawk. So here is the setup. Let's take a couple minutes here. I want to go over kind of what's happened because it's around this time last year that I actually kind of went dark and didn't was stopped being able to do videos due to stuff that was going on at the house, and just never really picked it up. So let's do this for couple 2-3 minutes here. Go over what I am doing now. So the biggest thing for anybody doing podcasts, streams, whatever it may be, is availability, and then the second aspect is content. Well, this is Football Talk with Hawk. Football has plenty of content. So content is not the issue. Availability and time to be able to, when I was doing the videos, actually do the videos, do the editing, do the slicing, set everything up. That took a lot of time and it took a lot of effort to be able to do so. So here's what I am doing. Do I know if it's going to work? I don't know, but you know what? We're going to try it. We're going to have fun with it. I have been searching over the last few months, looking for a voice recorder app that works with what I do with my job overnight and what I'm able to do while on my 30-minute break or my lunch break, and being able to do a 45-minute podcast overnight, which then would be released the next afternoon when I get home, upload it to YouTube here, which you guys see, and then for you guys to be able to listen to. So this is currently the plan. I found the voice recorder app that takes out a lot of the background noise, which I am thankful for. And we've got plenty of content, and hopefully this will take care of the availability issue, because doggone it, I miss it. I love football. I absolutely love football. For those of you who maybe your first time listening, I am an avid football lover. I grew out of the fanatic stage a while ago. I don't get hung up in the fanatics of the team because it's not worth it, and it's also not accurate. It's really a kind of a fake reality that you live in. So I try to keep everything real. I look at everything through the three prisms there is: business, team, players. Those are the three aspects of football. The fourth aspect, if you were to add a fourth, would be the fans. And we will delve into that side every once in a while because it's fun. That's what Overreaction Mondays are for, is the fanatics. It's fun to overreact. It's fun to conjecture the way that fans can and do. So we will definitely dive into some of that. I do not have a ton of sources all over the place. I have all the subscriptions that are available, whether it's Bleacher Report, ESPN Plus, Sports Illustrated, Fox, whatever it may be. I have a lot of time each night to be able to watch and read and do different things with different articles. So I am an avid football lover that is just going to talk football for now. In the off season, we'll probably move to 2, maybe 3 shows a week as we talk a little bit of basketball, a little bit of baseball. Maybe we'll even touch hockey. I can't get into hockey. I have tried. I'm trying harder because hockey seems to be one of those things where, with the new teams, they're doing pretty good. So maybe we'll delve there. But for now, we're sticking with good old-fashioned Football Talk with Hawk. Here is episode 1 of the relaunch. I hope you enjoy. All right, guys, here we go. Let's start this off. First of all, appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you for listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so that every time that I am able to post one of these podcasts, you guys are notified and you are able to listen right away. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you have a fantastic day. We're going to talk some upcoming, really kind of rubber match games, if you will, for the NFL. And this is what I mean. A lot of games coming up over the next few weeks are going to be deciding head-to-head games. Now, there are a lot of seasons where you don't get, at the end of the year, a playoff team versus a potential playoff team in a lot of the matchups. A lot of years, there's only maybe 2 or 3 teams that are in the hunt for that final wild card spot, and it's not what it is right now, with it potentially being right now for the AFC. Half of the AFC is still alive for that 7th and 6th wild card spot. Let's break this down. So we're not going to do a recap of last week. Thanksgiving week was really, really good. It was a record week for the favorites, or almost a record week. Minnesota naturally screws it up by losing to the Bears. But let's look ahead. We'll start out, instead of doing a recap week, we'll do a recap after this week. So let's look ahead. Seattle at Dallas. First of all, Seattle wearing the throwback unis I love. I love those uniforms. I really wish they still had them. I don't like the new ones. I don't like the look compared to this. The old ones look so dang good. I love the old uniforms. Love the old helmet. Love the older logo. They never should have gotten rid of it. But nonetheless, this game has a lot of playoff ramifications riding on it. In this one aspect, if Seattle is able to pull out a win, it changes their trajectory from what everybody is expecting. So right now, as any of you can do, go on ESPN, and the NFL playoff machine is back live. It has been for a couple weeks, and I've been staying on top of all of it. And I have played around with no less than probably 25 scenarios. Okay? There is a legitimate shot for the Jets to make the playoffs as the 7th team. Why? Because Cincinnati, without Joe Burrow, and Cleveland, with potentially Joe Flacco starting, really are in the wild card spots, are in the wild card chase, but really aren't. Cleveland can be knocked out because I think the amount of losses are just going to outdo everything else. The Jets have a legitimate path to being 9-8 and making it as the 7th seed. It is a legitimate opportunity. Very legitimate. Now, the way that this is going to play out is how all these, what I just called rubber match games, are going to be played. The Jets play the Browns. The Jets play the Texans at home. The Jets play the Dolphins. They play teams that are in front of them in the wild card. That matters. that matters. When you're looking at a team, now why am I on the Jets? You may be wondering, why are we talking about the Jets? Are you a Jets fan? No, I am an Indianapolis Colts fan. I have grown up in Indianapolis. I was blessed to be here during the Manning era all the way through. I remember before the Manning era with Jim Harbaugh, Marshall Faulk, Tony Siragusa. Okay, I remember pre-Manning a little bit, but most of my childhood into my adult years has been the Manning era, into what I still call the Luck catastrophe, and since then. Okay? I do not believe they are a playoff team at all. So, side note, just based off of this, I don't believe the Colts are good enough to win in the playoffs. I don't believe they're good enough to be in the playoffs. I don't have them making the playoffs. And I will show you why, maybe in this podcast, maybe in the next one. We'll figure that out later. We'll see where this goes. But the Jets, Aaron Rodgers coming back, this is why I'm talking about it. It's ticking people off that he could potentially return. Here is the reality. He has said the playoff hopes matter. If the Jets beat the Falcons this weekend at home, they will then be playing the Texans at home next weekend. My thing with the Texans is this. They are the most improved team. They are a good team. They have the offensive rookie of the year. And you don't want to play them in a dome. But I don't know how they're going to do young, on the road, in New York. Okay? With or without Rodgers, the Jets' defense is good. But the Texans are one of the teams the Jets need to have fall out for them to get in. It's a rubber game. They got to beat them. The next week, could you imagine Aaron Rodgers with the Jets against the Miami Dolphins? I know what you're thinking. Miami's got to be better. Are you sure? Miami hasn't beaten a good team. Miami's lost to Philadelphia, Buffalo. You really think they're that good? Really? Any good team they play, they lose. They got the Broncos before the Broncos were what the Broncos are now. They barely beat the Raiders. That Jet game, just be honest, the inept quarterback play is really the reason the Dolphins won, because the offense did not do that great. Let's just say it for what it is. Okay? They lost to the Chiefs in London. Okay? They lose to good teams. They beat the bad teams. I still have, through the playoff machine, I still have the Bills winning the division because the Bills are not the Dolphins. The Dolphins have to play the Ravens, the Bills, the Cowboys. For me, that's 3 losses without even thinking about it. They're not going to beat the Ravens on the road. They're not going to beat the Bills because the Bills have their number and the Bills are better. They're not going to beat the Cowboys. In Miami, good weather, that defense is going to crush that offense. They're not the better team. Miami is 100% fool's gold. So if the Jets go to Miami, good weather, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, the Jets could beat the Dolphins and easily have a 3-game winning streak. easily. But the Jets don't have to beat the Dolphins. They can still lose a game and get in. Now you may ask, how is that possible? Well, I am glad you asked. Because I have got the playoff machine right here in front of me. Right here in front of me. And what happens in week 16 is the Jets are home against Washington and the Dolphins play Dallas. In week 17, the Jets have their rubber match against the Browns, and Miami is on the road against Baltimore. And then the final week of the season, the Bills play the Dolphins, and the Jets are at the Patriots. The Dolphins' only easy, quote-unquote, games, if Rodgers wasn't playing, I don't think this week is going to be easy. Here is why. On the road in Washington, it's supposed to be really rainy, really wet. The storms are supposed to be sitting right over Washington, D.C. at this time. The offense is going to be slower, and I see a potential grudge match game that could go either way only because of the weather. No other reason. The Dolphins are better than Washington, hands down. But I could see the weather playing a big factor. But let's say the Dolphins beat Washington, okay, in week 14. So next week they're home against the Titans. We'll give them another W. So they get 2 W's. Then they play the Jets. And their final 4 games are the Jets, the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Bills. They could very easily finish this year out 2-4. Very easily. The Browns could finish the year out 1-5, if not 2-4. There's a legitimate case. The Steelers and Mike Tomlin, I think there is a flip-flop game for them. And it just got flexed to Saturday. Just got flexed to Saturday against the Colts. The weekend, not of Christmas, but before Christmas. So I believe it is the 16th, if I am accurate on my dates. The AFC playoff picture with the Texans and the Broncos and the Steelers and the Browns, the Bengals and the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins. There's a legitimacy to this right now. So right away you look. Denver is 6-5. Las Vegas is 5-7. No, I don't think Las Vegas is really a viable playoff team. But I do want to give kudos to Antonio Pierce. I believe he should be strongly considered, just like Rich Bisaccia should have been considered the last time they had an interim coach. In fact, I think any of these teams are going to fire their head coaches if they're looking for stability and a chance to be able to calm the organization down. Whether it's Chicago, Chargers, the Panthers, potentially Washington, even New England. Like, there's legitimacy to a guy like Bisaccia, a guy like Antonio Pierce. I believe Antonio Pierce should be given strong consideration. He has done a very good job. The team has been competitive even in the losses. So kudos to him for what he's done. But you're realistically looking at, for the 7 playoff spots, you have Miami, Buffalo, the Jets, Kansas City, Denver. There's 5. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Cincinnati is technically there because of their schedule, and I'll outline that in a second. So all 4 teams in the AFC North are still technically there. And we'll go over that here in a second. So there's 9. And then Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Houston as well. There is 12. So 12 teams for 7 slots. Now the ones we're going to take out automatically, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Baltimore. Those 3 are going to win the division. I don't know which way they're going to end because Jacksonville plays Baltimore. Kansas City has to play Buffalo after Buffalo's bye. I think that's a bad game for Kansas City. Buffalo, off of a bye, healthy, relaxed, rejuvenated, they're going to come out in playoff mode. And I think it's going to really be a bad matchup for the Chiefs. Dallas plays in Buffalo. The Dallas Cowboys in the snow. Are you kidding me? Come on. The Dallas Cowboys don't do great away from home. I've got them playing the Dolphins close because it's in Miami. It's in Miami, Florida. It's warm weather. Okay? There's aspects to this, and here's the reason why. All right, so let's go down this way. Let's go currently. Current, you are looking at Steelers, Colts, Browns, Miami, Jacksonville, Kansas City, and Baltimore. So let's start with the Steelers, okay? Let's start with the Steelers. This week, at home against the Cardinals. I see no reason they shouldn't win that game. At home in Pittsburgh against a dome team from the desert. The only thing I could see happening is if the defense doesn't show up and Kyler Murray, Marcus Hollywood Brown, James Conner are able to muster up 28 points and just outscore the Steelers. It is definitely possible. I don't know what the over-under is for that game yet. When I do my picks on for the Saturday afternoon episode, I will look at the over-unders as well as who I think will win. I do both, so pick the over-unders of who's going to win. So I could see Arizona playing this really close if the defense doesn't ball out. I really could. But let's say Pittsburgh wins this week. Week 14, they're home against New England. Honestly, I don't even think that's a question. It can't be a question. New England's offense is just that freaking bad. It just is. Now, are the Steelers benefiting from scheduling? Absolutely. Do I think the team is that good? Absolutely not. But they're benefiting from scheduling. All right, week 15, Steelers at the Colts. This game is an interesting game. Like I said, it got moved to Saturday. Okay, it got moved to Saturday. The feeling on this game, so this game is going to cover both the Colts, because we're going to do the Colts next, and the Steelers. My feeling on this game is this. Grover Stewart is going to be back for Indianapolis to help stop the run. But Jonathan Taylor is out, and Zach Moss, the reason he's not a starter is because he's inconsistent. He's done good, but he doesn't always ball out. And the Steelers have the type of team that can cut the edges really easily. And their corners will be physical, and these stupid crossing routes are not a good idea against the Steeler defense. It's just not. So, I'm going to go Colts because they're home. So Steelers lose at the Colts on a Saturday. I really want to say Steelers win, but we're going to say Colts win just because we can for now. Week 16, at home against Cincinnati. Do not count out Cincinnati. Do not count them out. We're going to go down the Cincinnati side in a little bit. So basically, this podcast is basically outlining the AFC wildcard teams and what this could look like for them. Then we will outline the NFC on the next podcast. So week 16, we're going to say Steelers because they're home. They beat Cincinnati. All right? Week 17. This one, they are on the road against Seattle. Which, by the way, the Seattle emblem is the old one on this, just an FYI. I love it. It's not the new, so it's freaking awesome. Nonetheless, Pittsburgh on the road in Seattle. I'm going to take the home team at that case. I like Seattle's run defense. 12th man. There's a lot of reasons. Northwest. An out west trip game. I'm going to take Seattle at home in week 17. Week 18, at Baltimore, we're taking Baltimore. So, right now, as it stands with those games, picked the way that I did, Pittsburgh ends the year 10-7. All right, let's go back to week 13. We're going to run through with the Indianapolis Colts. Colts at the Titans. I think division game this week, not going to lie. There's been a lot of trash talk online. I have been the one constantly telling the Colts fans, don't patronize them. Just don't. The Titans are happy with what they found in Will Levis. Their offense is looking a lot better. It looks more comfortable. Derrick Henry is slowly coming to form at the end of the season. The offensive line's starting to block better, and the Colts do not have Grover Stewart this week. Do not have Grover Stewart this week. Therefore, I believe on the road, this is a division game. The Titans win because they're not going to be able to stop the run. I think the game is really quick. They're going to ground and pound, and I believe it's going to be really quick. But I got the Titans beating the Colts. This week, division game on the road. The Colts aren't that good. And we're going to find that out. All right, week 14. Colts at the Bengals. Same thing. Grover Stewart is back for that Cincinnati game. But T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon against a very lackluster secondary that really looked lackluster against Tampa Bay. And I believe Jake Browning and Baker Mayfield could be the exact same quarterback because Browning did not look bad against the Steelers. I believe in Cincinnati outdoors. We're talking outdoors for a dome team. Cincinnati outdoors. The offense isn't that great. The Colts offense runs a lot of crossing routes. Cincinnati has a couple of guys on the defensive line. I believe it's going to have to be quick. Still no Jonathan Taylor. Cincinnati wins. I don't like the Colts as a road team. Their road games are a basically, New England was a road game. They were in London. They won 10-6. They beat the Carolina Panthers. Their defense scored more points than their offense. Okay? They won at Houston in week number 2 with Anthony Richardson, and before the Texans are the Texans of now. And then they beat the Ravens in a rainy game where the Ravens actually lost because Matt Gay had 5 field goals that game to get them the victory 22-19 in overtime. And the Ravens basically threw that game away. 4 turnovers. That was their Bills versus Broncos type game. They should have beat the Colts easily. They had all the turnovers, and that's the only reason the Colts won. You have those games every once in a while. The Colts won it, yes. Did they deserve to? No. Because they've lost at home to the Rams, the Browns. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Titans 23-17 at home. That's why I don't like them on the road. It's the same team for us on offense. It's not the same team for them. Will Levis is not Ryan Tannehill. So, here we go. Let's keep going with this, though. Week 15, Steelers at Colts. We picked the Colts. Week 16, Colts are at Atlanta. Now, this one, I want to give the nod to the Colts. Not going to lie. Dome. But Atlanta has beaten a lot of teams at home. A lot of teams at home. They play good at home. So we're going to go with Atlanta in the next podcast. For now, we're just going to talk about this game at home against the Colts. They're still in playoff contention. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith. It's a very short passing team, which is going to really affect the Colts' ability to just rush. Gus Bradley's going to have to figure something out. I think it's even on the board. It's maybe slight edge to the Colts, but based off of stats and what has happened, I'm going with the Falcons at home over a Colts team that doesn't have Jonathan Taylor, that his secondary is banged up, and even if Ritter is quarterback. Because Bijan Robinson is that good. The Falcons believe they can get this division, and they want to get the division. So I'm going to go Falcons over the Colts week 16. Week 17, I've got the Colts over the Raiders at home. And then week 18, Texans at the Colts. This is not the Texans team we beat. It is not the Texan team that we beat. I'm going to go Texans over the Colts. So I have Indianapolis potentially going 2-4 the rest of the way out. Now, they may go 3-3. I will give you the Atlanta game or the Cincy game. One of those two I think could flip-flop. Both of them won't. But one of those two could flip-flop. The Cincy game is more likely because of it being Jack Browning. The Atlanta game, I am really leaning towards Atlanta is just better. They play really hard. Did you see what they did to the Saints? At home, Derek Carr, let's just be honest. Minshew is not going to be solid. And they play well at home. I'll give you a potential swap for the Cincinnati game, but that'd be the only one. So they're either going to be 8-9 or 9-8. Pittsburgh's going to be 10-7. Right now, Pittsburgh is that team that gets in. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's go to the Browns. This is going to be a longer podcast. These always are when you're going through an entire schedule. I'll try to speed it up for you here. I know I've dragged these out a little bit. let's try to speed it up. Let's see what we can do. So, week 13 here, Browns at the Rams. Joe Flacco's starting. It's probably going to be the Rams. Let's just not even lie about this. Next week, Jacksonville at the Browns. Jacksonville gets the dub. Browns can't compete. Week 15, Browns are at home against the Bears. I don't know who's going to win that. The Bears just knocked off the Vikings. Justin Fields hasn't looked bad since he's been back. The offense looks like it is rolling a little bit, but Fields makes mistakes, and Myles Garrett's going to be there in Cleveland. However, Cleveland, who in the world is the quarterback going to be that plays that week? What's the offense going to look like? What's the offense going to be able to do? I don't know, but because the Browns are home, we're going to give them a W. Fair enough? Good. All right, here we go. So we get the Browns a W in week 15 at home against the Bears. Week 16, on the road against Houston. That's a loss. Week 17, here's the rubber match. Thursday night football. Jets against the Browns. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, I'm taking the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers is not playing, I'm taking the Browns. It's that simple. Aaron Rodgers playing, I'm taking the Jets. Aaron Rodgers not playing, I'm taking the Browns. So we're going to go Jets over the Browns because I believe Aaron Rodgers will be playing. That's what I believe. I believe Aaron Rodgers will be playing. So we're going to go Jets over the Browns in the rubber match that I was talking about earlier. All right, here we go. Week 18, Jets at the Patriots. I can't, if Aaron Rodgers is playing, the Jets win. And that's the assumption we are currently working under. Aaron Rodgers is playing, the Jets win. So the Jets, okay, there we go. All right, boom, boom, boom. Let's go back. Where are we at? Week 16. There it is. Sorry, week 17. Boom, boom, boom. Browns. Browns lose. All right, week 18. Sorry, I jumped to the Jets because we were talking about the rubber match. So the Browns, week 18, play in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's home. I don't know what the offense is going to be for the Cleveland Browns. Do I think the Browns defense is good enough to potentially win the game? Sure. Do I think that Jamar Chase can bring down a ball that makes the game 19-16? Yes. That's where I'm at. These games are going to be so close, you can coin flip these games, which is exactly why I think it's going to be amazing. So, with everything we just did, with the schedule that we just played out, okay, Cleveland would go from 7-4. We have them going 1-5 the rest of the way, finishing 8-9. Okay? That is what we have them finishing the year as, 8-9 from 7-4. Now, this is Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which, by the way, I think DTR will be just fine. But no Nick Chubb. The offense just doesn't look really crisp. You know, that's just the reality right now for Cleveland. Okay, let's go to Cincinnati because we've had a couple of Cincinnati games that we've already had to pick. So let's pick the rest of them. All right, this week, Monday Night Football, Cincinnati at Jacksonville. That is Jacksonville. Week 14. That is the Cincinnati against Indianapolis Colt game. We are taking Cincinnati because they're home. I said I'll give you the flip on this one. So for now, we're going to go Cincinnati. Week 15, Bengals at home against the Vikings. Another flip game. The Vikings just lost at home to the Bears. But the Vikings are going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Like, here's the reality. They're not that perfect team. So, a dome team on the road, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase could decide that they're going to have a big game very easily. It could be a fun game to watch, 24-20, something like that. I don't know if Minnesota has the defensive prowess to be able to stop Cincinnati. I really don't. I don't know if Minnesota's offense with Dobbs, if Dobbs is playing, has that ability to go to the next level. I don't. I really don't. I'm going to pick Cincinnati in Week 15. Week 16, Steelers at home against Bengals. We already said Steelers win. All right, Week 17, Kansas City. They're on the road at Kansas City. Cincinnati definitely is going to lose that one. And then Week 18, we've got them beating the Browns. So Cincinnati would go from 5-6 to potentially tie with the Browns 8-9. That'd be a 3-3 stretch without Joe Burrow. I'll give you the flips. The Minnesota game and the Colts game could easily flip. They are coin flips. I will 100% give you that. But for now, we've got Cleveland 8-9. We got Cincinnati 8-9. All right, let's finish out let's see here. Who we got left here? All right, let's finish out Houston. Finish out Houston here. So this week, Houston is home against Denver. I think it's going to be a really good game. Really good game. CJ Stroud is healthy. Tank Dell has been limited in practice on purpose. I don't believe he's overly hurt. He's been limited on purpose. Noah Brown could be back. I don't believe the Denver Bronco defense is going to be able to cover a 4 wide receiver set. They should have lost to Buffalo with the same scenario. CJ Stroud, I'm going to take the Texans at home over the Broncos. The next team we'll do is the Broncos, so Bronco fans, just hang on a second. All right, Week 14, Texans at the Jets. Now, we haven't done the Jets yet. This is a game that I feel is a trap game. If they come off of a big energy win over the Broncos, if this is Aaron Rodgers' first start, which it could be, there could be a little bit of rust. But I'm going to say that it's going to be more of an emotional drain for a team like Houston because it matters. It absolutely matters. They got to understand they have to keep a level head about everything, and they've got to be able to play with composure. But I think the Jets, that defense gives them trouble, so we're going to go Jets win in Week 14. Week 15, Texans, let's see, where are we at? Against the Titans. It's a division game. I mean, they absolutely beat up on the Titans last time. This one's interesting. I'm going to go Texans over the Titans in Week 15. Week 16, we've got them beating the Browns. Week 17, we have, where are they at? They're at home against the Titans. So they're playing them 2 times in 3 weeks. I think they win at home easily. That's not a big issue. And then I've got them winning over the Colts in Week 18 in a dome. So the Texans potentially go from 6-5 to 11-6. The game I would flip on, if any game, with the Texans is going to be the Titan game on the road in Week 16. Week 15. I could see the Titans winning that first matchup on the road in Nashville. Texans struggle potentially. I could see the Titans pulling that out because it's a division game. That is the only reason. If it wasn't division, I'd probably say Texans, 3.5-point favorites, 3 and a hook. I think the Titans at home. Texans are young. They don't need to be winning. They're young. They should definitely be in for, the most improved team and coach of the year should be, DeMeco Ryans has done an amazing job. If they make the playoffs, I believe it should be him. Because he was right. He picked the best quarterback of that group. Well done. So let's actually flip that. Let's flip that. We're going to flip that Week 15 matchup, Titans over the Texans. Okay? So you're looking at a Titan or a Texan team that goes from 6-5 to 10-7. We've got them going 4-2 down the stretch. Currently 10-7 makes the playoffs. All right, I said we're going to do the Broncos next. Let's do the Broncos. All right, this week they are on the road against the Texans. We've got the Texans winning that game. Week 14, Broncos are playing, where are they at? Probably in the 4 o'clock slot, but I don't see them. Against the Chargers. On the road against the Chargers. Reality is, Chargers stink. Brandon Staley needed to be fired a while ago. If they knew it was good for him, they would have fired him already. All right, Week 15 on the road against Detroit. Sorry, guys, Detroit's going to roll you. I know Bronco fans are like, yeah, we're going to show them what a real team is. No, you're not. Dan Campbell coming off, and no. Just no. Detroit is going to be ready. Dan Campbell got everybody refocused. After the Thanksgiving loss, they got a 10-day break, another mini bye. They needed it. They needed to regroup. They're heading into the playoff push where they're still looking at trying to get the second seed because the first is kind of out of reach now. But they can easily get the second seed over San Francisco, and that is the focus. All right, Week 16. Where are they at? Patriots at the Broncos. Broncos win that. Week 17. Staying in the 4 o'clock zone because I know they got to be there. Broncos are at home against the Chargers. So we got the Broncos winning that one. Then Week 18, probably going to be hated for this pick, on the road against the Raiders. Ooh. See, the Raider defense, they got pass rush. They got a pass rush. I think Surtain could stop Adams. Looking at what they struggled with against the Bills, and even a little bit with the Browns, you could coin flip me on this one. I'll admit that. You could coin flip me on this one. But I'm going to say end of the year, Antonio Pierce gets his team fired up to potentially knock Denver out of the playoffs as part of this rivalry. I think if everybody's there that's currently on the teams and healthy, Max Crosby will make Russell Wilson uncomfortable. I like the Raider defensive line over the Bronco offensive line. And that's honestly what I'm going to go against right now. That's actually exactly where I'm going to say the game is won or lost, is the Raider defensive line versus the Bronco offensive line, and I give the nod to the Raiders defense and their home So we're going to go Raiders win, which gives Denver a final record. They go 3-3 the rest of the way out. They are 9-8. Now, FYI, we got a lot of 9-8 teams already. A lot of them. Okay? All right, let's go back up. Here we go. Week 13. Buffalo is off. They do not play. Week 14, they're on the road against Kansas City. Coming off a bye, I'm taking Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo off of a bye. And then the next week, they're at home, coming off a big win. They're at home against Dallas in December. Bad idea. Bad idea. Dak Prescott's not going to be good on the road, in the snow, in the cold. Buffalo wins at home. The game could be ugly, but Buffalo wins at home. Week 16, Buffalo against the Chargers. I think Josh Allen could go for 500 passing yards. That's going to be an embarrassing game. If Staley isn't fired by then, he should be at that point. Week 17, New England at Buffalo. Definitely Buffalo. Week 18, this is the game. Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo beats Miami. Miami doesn't beat good teams. I've got Buffalo. I think Buffalo goes on a roll here. I really do. Buffalo goes on a roll here. They're currently 6-6. I think they rattle off 5 in a row. And the reason I do is because I think the Dallas game is easier than if they were in Dallas or if it was a good weather game. Because I think Dallas at home probably beats Buffalo. But Dallas on the road is going to end up being an easier game than what it could be. So I don't think they have to stress. Their two big games are going to be the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Those are their two big games. They win both of those, I think they go 11-6. If they split one of the other ones, they go 10-7. Okay? So there we go. All right, so the Bills are done. All right, here we go. All the way back. Week 13. Miami at Washington. Listen, this is my sleeper pick this week. Not going to lie. I like the Washington Commanders to potentially pull an upset. I'm not going to pick them for this process because that's my feelings. Because the weather's going to be wet, rainy. The offense isn't going to be able to be I mean, look at what they've looked like. Just look at what the offense has really looked like recently. They don't look great. They had their bye week really early. And Miami doesn't look really crisp on offense. And they lose to good teams. Washington's not a good team, but in the weather, it's the same thing. I mean, let's just look at it for what it is. The Broncos beat the Bills. Turnovers. The Ravens lost to the Colts. Turnovers. 49ers have lost because of turnovers. If you get turnovers, if the offense can't move, Washington could pull out the game. That's all I'm saying. But we're going to pick Miami because, well, yeah, that'd be going a little bit far. All right, so next week, week 14, Miami's at home against the Titans on Monday Night Football. We're doing Miami. Excuse me. All right, week 15. This is my coin flip game. This is the game. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, I'm picking the Jets over the Dolphins. And here is why. Sauce Gardner looked good against Tyreek Hill. The Jets offense can give the Jets defense, who is very good, the rest it needs to be able to be fresh for Waddle and Hill. Okay? I am picking this game under the assumption Rodgers is going to come back because of the potential for them to still make the playoffs. We'll do the Jets next. We're doing the Dolphins right now. So I'm going to pick the Jets with the assumption that Rodgers plays with the upset over the Dolphins because of defense, because the Jet defense is better. All right, here we go. The next week, Dallas at Miami. This isn't Dallas at Buffalo. This is Dallas at Miami. Warm weather. If they get embarrassed in Buffalo, which I think they will in week 15, week 16 they go to Miami, they're going to be angry. This is the worst thing that could happen for Miami. An angry Dallas defense coming in wanting to prove they're better than what they just showed. I've got Dallas beating them. Week 17 on the road against Baltimore. Let's not be kidding ourselves. And then week 18 they lose to Buffalo. So guess what the Dolphins end at? Now you can flip-flop me on the New York game. So they're either going to go 2-4 or 3-3 down the stretch. 2-4 or 3-3. You can flip-flop me on the Jet game. I will give that one to you. You can flip-flop me on the Jet game. Okay? All right. Let's go back. Week 13. Going back to do the, let's see, where are we at? Jets? Yes, Jets. That's what I said we were going to do. Here we go. We're going to do the Jets. We're going to win. Jets are going to win. They're at home. We're going to play. We're going to play hard. The Falcons suck away from home. They're not good. They are not good. So the Jets beat the Falcons. Absolutely. Week 14, we've got them beating the Texans. Week 15, we've got them beating the Dolphins. Week 16, at home against Washington, I'll take them. They're home. Works for me. All right, week 17. Where are they at here? Where are they at? Where are they at? That's the rubber match between them and the Browns in week 17. Week 18, Patriots. Oh, the Jets end at 10-7. Now, that would be going 6-0. Do I think that happens? No. Like I said, you can flip-flop me on the Houston game. You can flip-flop me on the Miami game. I think the better chance is they will go probably 8-9. I think they can win 4. I think they'll beat Air. I think they beat Atlanta, and I think they beat Washington easily. I think they beat Cleveland. I think they've got 3 wins on the board without much fight. Okay? Without much fight, they got 3 wins on the board. All right? So, if we go back and we look at starting in week 13, now we're doing Jacksonville. We got to get the division winners done here real fast. So we're going to do both at the same time. So let's do Jacksonville and Kansas City at the same time. So this weekend, Kansas City at Green Bay. Green Bay's playing better. Let's just be honest. They're not going to beat Kansas City. If they do, that would be a really big upset on Sunday Night Football. And then Jacksonville over Cincinnati. All right, week 14. Week 14, we've got Jacksonville over Cleveland and Kansas City losing to Buffalo. Week 15, we have, where are they at? Jacksonville against Baltimore. That's a tough one. Jacksonville is home against Baltimore. Guess we could have done Baltimore. Let's go back and cover Baltimore real fast. Baltimore this week is playing nobody. They're off. Yes, they are off for week 13. Interesting. Buffalo and Baltimore off. Okay. And then week 14 they come back And they play the Rams at home. So they're going to win that one. Week 15. So this is where we were. Kansas City plays New England. That's a W for them. And then Baltimore, Jacksonville on Sunday Night Football. Oh, man. Oh, man. In Jacksonville. If it's in Baltimore, I'm selecting Baltimore immediately. Give me 3.5 points. I'll take Baltimore. Oh, man. In Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, guys. Honestly. I think Lamar Jackson is too much, but Baltimore's been known to lose some of these games on the road. Man. Sunday Night Football. I don't want to deliberate on this too much. Gosh darn it. All right, you know what? You can coin flip me on this one. We're going Jacksonville over Baltimore in Week 15. All right, Week 16. Where are we at here? Week 16. Chiefs over the Raiders. That's a pretty easy call. 49ers at home on Monday Night Football against the Ravens. Rematch. I'm taking the 49ers if they're at home. Jacksonville on the road against Tampa Bay. We're taking Jacksonville. All right, Week 17. The Ravens are home against Ravens are home against Miami. Definitely taking Baltimore in that game. Then we've got the Chiefs at home against the Bengals. Definitely taking the Chiefs. And the Jaguars are home against the Panthers. Also definitely taking that in Week 17. Week 18. Baltimore at home against Pittsburgh. Definitely taking Baltimore at home there. Then we've got Kansas City is on the road, I believe. Or are they at home? Nope, they're on the road against the Chargers. We're still taking the Chiefs. And then we got the Jaguars at the Titans. Last game of the year. I think first place is going to be up for grabs, so everybody plays their starters. Everybody's trying to shoot for the number one slot. I think Jacksonville beats Tennessee. I don't think Jacksonville's that strong of a team. You can coin flip me on the Baltimore-Jacksonville game, which would put both teams at actually would put all the teams at 13 and 4. Hold it right a second here. All the teams at 13 and 4. Hold on. Let's do that. Let's flip that. So if the Ravens beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville on Sunday Night Football, everybody ends 13 and 4. The Jaguars would then go from first to third. The Chiefs would be the number one seed at 13 and 4. Baltimore second at 13 and 4. Jacksonville third at 13 and 4. Okay. So basically, right now, with the way that everything has played out, 10 and 7 is really where you need to get if you're a wild card team. And we could have three 13 and 4 teams that the tiebreakers have to decide what the outcome is. Now, Baltimore would get the head-to-head over Jacksonville, and so would Kansas City, because Kansas City already beat them. Now, I don't know how Kansas City would get the head-to-head over Baltimore. That one I'd have to look at what that tiebreaker would be. I can't remember if it goes to conference or if it goes to record against same opponents, then conference. I can't remember. I have to figure that out. Huh. Okay, we'll figure that out. But nonetheless, that's your AFC playoff picture. Running through all the teams, running through each matchup. That's what you're at. With the way we have it set right now, if nothing else changed and nothing else happened, Miami would be the 7th seed against Baltimore, Pittsburgh would play Jacksonville, and the Texans would play Buffalo, with Kansas City getting a bye. That is the way we picked all the games. Like I said, you can flip me on a couple of them. We can coin flip a couple games. This is going to be about the rubber matches. The Jacksonville-Baltimore game is huge. Huge. Like, that is an important game for them. That's the game that decides if they can even get a shot at number 1. That is that game. And we'll see if they can. Obviously. We'll see if they can. Like, this is exciting. This is absolutely exciting. I love it. All right, guys. That is a long enough podcast. We have rambled on now for an hour and 10 minutes. And if you've listened the whole way through, that means you love football as much as I do. I will try to condense and squish down the NFC one. My goal is to only go a max of 45 minutes. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we're not going to take too much extra time here. Guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for listening to Football Talk with Hawk. I will see you in the next podcast. Have a fantastic day. Hawk out.